I certainly felt like I was sort of like punching above my weight class in this, where like, the day after I was pretty sore. So I was almost like surprisingly sore, but hey, you know what? It's nice to know I can dig deep and pull it out like that, I guess. But besides that, had a lot of confidence coming into the weekend from a good race at Whistler a few weeks back. I think for me, what was most interesting, and I think probably for you as well, Chipper, was our tactics that we were going to deploy for this race.
We knew we were going to go out there, kind of give it the go of what we had and what we could do and what we felt comfortable with as a team, but also wanted to try some new stuff out. Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun Podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 291 of the show. We have what is technically our first race report of the season. We just drove back from Folsom Swimrun, where we did the Chipper Double, which means we did the short course an hour before we did the long course. It was a nice day out there. Folsom Swimrun never disappoints, so we're going to give you all the sights and sounds of what it's like to support your local swimrun, which is something we encourage everyone to do.
We're repping the merch as well. We got the new Folsom Swimrun caps they gave out. Very red, white, and blue.
What it looks like in the front. It's what it looks like in the back.
Yeah, you get both looks here on the Low Tide Boyz.
They're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah, our first race underway officially as the Low Tide Boyz. Obviously, we have been saying this a lot in this year. 2025 is like so many new experiences. The most unusual swimrun season I think that we've ever had, and certainly one that we haven't planned on, but this is how it's worked out. We've each raced on our own with different partners. We raced as a team of 3, but this is the first official Low Tide Boyz, just Chip and Chris race.
Yeah, so Chipper's done this race every year. This is the 4th year of Folsom Swimrun. This is my 3rd year because I had to miss a year last year, 2 years ago?
2 years ago, I think.
And our friend John from the Concho Boys, he was like, you guys are officially a Folsom Swimrun dynasty. And I guess we are, because, experience helps, I guess is what we should say.
Yeah.
But speaking of experience, I think the first thing to talk about with this race, and we'll talk about our tactics, because I think that'll probably be the most interesting for people. But, Total Body Fitness who put on this race, we say it every year, like for folks who aren't, squarely in the swimrun space, like they're doing triathlons, they're doing trail runs, they're doing a bunch of, activities like
endurance,
that.
A lot of endurance events.
Endurance stuff. Yeah. I mean, this is an extremely high quality event, a high quality swimrun, lots of transitions, lots of volunteers, well marked.
Great aid stations are solid.
Checks just a ton of boxes in terms of like a low barrier to entry swimrun experience. And, I told Bill after the race, I'm like, I don't know how you do it, but every year it's just like quality, you know what to expect. It's really something else.
Yeah, it's and we can't say enough good things. And I think a great place to start before and after the race, we're catching up with folks. And two delightful ladies came up and said on Thursday or Friday, we were listening to your Rockman race recap with Mike and Liza, and they're like, they both text each other and like, okay, we have to do the full system run tomorrow. They used the code, they came down, it was our ideal situation to happen. So that was so cool. But yeah, the community's great, and Bill and the team always put a great race on. Like Chris said, the short course starts at 8, and then the long course starts at 9. So we can manage to do both.
Yeah, so essentially the short course is around 4 miles of swim running. The long course is about 9 miles of swim running. We'll break all that down. I think what was most interesting for this race, as we mentioned in last week's show, we're both coming back from respective injuries. Mine more near term. Chipper's was last season. Our fitness, I think, is still pretty much misaligned, which is okay. But I think we had a good plan going in. And certainly, like with a lot of our swim runs at this point, I feel like we have so much shared experience that for me, it was just kind of fun being like, I just felt very comfortable. And in many ways, I just, kind of like safe and like everything's going to be okay. I'm racing with my guy.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we know what to do. We've done the course a lot, although still studied it because, I ain't trying to have any more DNFs or whatever from not finishing or just DQs.
Yeah, no more DQs.
But yeah, it was, I think comfortable was a really good thing. And yeah, you're still coming back from injury. I don't know, what would you put your, X out of 10 on how you're kind of feeling? I'm certainly, my injury was almost a year ago, actually, in the next couple of weeks. So I'm definitely feeling back at it for sure.
Yeah, I would say it's almost like 2 scores. One is how my body's actually doing and my level of risk tolerance and tolerance towards it. So I think I'm certainly recovering from my back injury, still trying to be really smart. I think the one modification that we made for this race was, as usual, transitioning out of the water. That's the one that's the trickiest and the one where I try to be extra careful. Ended up like not being a problem, just the way the entrance and exits were. But I think physically I was like at a 7 or 8. Mentally I was probably at a 6, but as the day went on, I started
feeling more comfortable about it.
More confident.
Nice.
Body's holding up. As the race moves on, it's like, all right, this is going to be another kind of like Whistler situation where I certainly felt like I was sort of like punching above my weight class in this, where like, the day after I was pretty sore. So I was almost like surprisingly sore, but hey, you know what? It's nice to know I can dig deep and pull it out like that, I guess. But besides that, had a lot of confidence coming into the weekend from a good race at Whistler a few weeks back. I think for me, what was most interesting, and I think probably for you as well, Chipper, was our tactics that we were going to deploy for this race.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, we knew we were going to go out there, kind of give it the go of what we had and what we could do and what we felt comfortable with as a team, but also wanted to try some new stuff out. Chris has been leading more swims with his different swim run experiences this year. I've been in the back on some swims and the swim run experiences this year. And so we both were like, okay, well, Chris, your cover's blown on, you can't sandbag as much on the swims anymore. So we planned and alternated. I led the first swim, Chris would lead the second. We just kind of trade off like that so I could get good recovery. And then in theory, the faster runner could get more out of that while the other person was recovered.
Yeah.
As a team, you should be going faster.
Yeah, so we'll talk about it later, as we're going through the sort of breakdown as to how that felt and where we sort of modified
adjusted,
the plan. And I think it was a good plan going in terms of making sure that we're both more tired by the time we get to the finish line. I think alternating, not just like alternating who's leading the swims, but also like not having to be a big deal. It's like you're first, then me, then you, then me, and kind of not be like, okay, well, what are we doing now? Just kind of like, hey, this is the main plan. And then if we need to, modify that, we'll do that. But kind of having the main thing be the main thing, and we're not kind of like second guessing ourselves or kind of switching it up at the last minute.
It's known what's going to happen before we enter the swim. It's not we get there and it's like a coin flip on like, oh, who's going. We've already sort of communicated on that, which I think we did really, really good on. But
yeah, I think the interesting thing about this race, so this race takes place in Folsom, Chipper's sort of stomping grounds from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Usually this time of year, it's just like crazy hot and
like 80s, 90s degrees
hot.
Air temperature.
Yeah, this year it was cloudy and overcast for the beginning of the race, and also the water was kind of like impressively cold. And I think we drive up the morning of the night before. Chipper and I are like, we're going big, like
lock it down,
full stop, like not a problem. Being kind of casual about it. We get there on race morning. The water is like below 60 degrees, and I didn't even pack my arm warmers, which was so dumb. So we both wore Vigs, sleeve Vigs with kangaroo tops, Keel Pluses, our arc signature. I mean, our arc
Keel
Pluses, our Frank paddles, signature paddles. Obviously,
just
gonna do.
Yep.
And then we both had Terex, Adidas Terexes. I had the old school ones. Chipper had the carbon fiber.
Got
ones.
Busted the carbon fiber.
I'm curious what your thoughts was on that, because otherwise the kit was this. I mean, it turns out arm warmers would have been like amazing.
Yeah.
We'll explain that in a little bit later, but I think other than that, I think the main difference from the kit we've been racing in recently was
just the shoes was something new. And actually, with my Frank paddles, I adjusted the straps. I actually put rubber finger straps in and left the like proprietary Frank paddle one, just because I think I kind of like the rubber piece a little bit. But yeah, the shoes were good. In our last weekend run before Folsom, we ran together. We did like 8 miles, 90 minutes there on the trails, 1,500 on Yolanda Trail, which is just a great trail in Marin. So I busted them out there. They felt really good. I thought they were good for swimrun. I think I got to like cinch them down. The laces are these weird, if you've dealt with the new Adidas, they kind of have like these teeth on them, for lack of a better word. Yeah. And you think that would be good because it would like hold it better, but it doesn't work. I don't know. I'm kind of frustrated by them. I might try to swap them out.
Yeah, they have like these little teeth, like shark's teeth or something.
You think it would grip really good, but then it kind of does. Anyway, overall, the shoes were good. They were on sale, so it was a throw money at the problem, but not as much money.
Research for the show is what I always tell my wife. But yeah, so race morning we get there, we see some of our friends. The Low Tide Boyz gear loaner program was in full effect. I brought an extra wetsuit for someone who rolled up. I'm like, nice to meet you, John. Here you go, enjoy. He had a Vig, so I kind of felt bad for him in hindsight, but he was fine.
And I was thinking, like, oh shit, I forgot to pack socks. So I text Justin from Sight the Beam, who I know lives literally probably 15 minutes from the race. Yeah. And I said, hey, do you have any socks? He's like, I'll bring you options. I'm like, I love it. I had packed an extra suit as well, and I borrowed one of Justin's socks, and as it turned out, the Swimrun Karma, Justin, his zipper had popped. It broke. Luckily, I had an extra big air, and I was like, dude, this was 5 minutes before the race started.
Something
He's like
that.
My zipper's broken.
I guess I'm racing with a broken zipper. I guess I'm,
Man.
the full Marcus.
Yeah, it was like fully open,
full
deep
Marcus.
V.
Deep V, he had a kangaroo top underneath, and it was like, hey, I got a big air for you. I ran up to the car real quick, brought it over, made it work. So we saw a bunch of our friends, a bunch of Team Mambo people, Novato people were there. It was really fun, and so the short course, again, it's about 4 miles, 4 swims, 3 runs.
Yes.
Starts with a swim, so it's like literally a water start. You're just kind of like bobbing in the water. Race started on time. Race instruction was good. We know that the short course, this is like really like you're just cutting your teeth. There are people there in Speedos. Last year there was someone racing with their dog. People in fins and like masks with snorkels and stuff. So all were welcome, which I love. I love that part of it. The water was super cold.
Yeah, so we got into the water and we both kind of looked at each other like, oh, and this race, I think it's Sacramento during July. So people are expecting 90, 100-degree days. Yeah. So they think it's going to be a warm race, which it is. But then the water is like being fed from the Folsom Dam, and they must have just let some water in or something because it was pretty chilly. We got in. I remember looking at you like, it's chillier than normal because we know this race the cold water kind of sneaks up on people. But it was...
Yeah, this is, I think, similar to Whistler. And so Justin from Sight the Beam was there, and he was like, this is colder than Nita Lake. So if you did Whistler, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was like, ice cream headache kind cold. And arm sleeves would have been a godsend. Again, super, 24 swim runs in and still making mistakes. So it just goes to show, perfect race is still out there.
For sure, an own
major
goal.
Own goal. Like, I was just, I could have packed 4 wetsuits. Anyway, whatever. So it started pretty cold. So it starts with about like a 900-meter swim. Pretty long swim.
It's a sturdy swim to start.
Into a current. There was some chop. So it was, pretty interesting conditions. Again, the short course is very beginner, so I think we sort of showed our quality of experience, if anything else, and navigated that pretty well. The first swim, Chipper likes to lead. I was on his feet pretty well. We got out of the water. Our plan was, again, whoever leads the swim kind of leads out the run just to make sure that person can kind of get their breath back, and then we'll switch or do whatever. And that worked, I think, really well for the short course. It was, again, very little discussion, just like, all right, I got this swim, you ready to go? Boom, we go.
Yep.
We ended up finishing that in around 54 minutes. First place overall, which was,
We got out of that first one and it was like,
whoo! It was cold. It was cold. Like your feet. Ice.
Like my back was stinging, my face, my arms, like I was stinging almost the whole time, but it was just kind of like you got to jam through it. And a 900-yard or meter swim is not like a easy one to just toss out there.
Yeah,
for the,
and there was like a cold,
first.
and again, super well marked.
Yeah.
Impossible to get lost unless you're really not paying attention. Awesome volunteers.
Yep.
Volunteers exactly where you'd want them to be, and volunteers who clearly knew what was going on, which is, not always guaranteed, always appreciated, never expected kind of thing. And so we finished the short course again, first place overall, fantastic. 5 minutes to spare. And that's when it really got real because I started shivering, and they had like a little warming tent, but I was like, oh, I can't do that. It's like we're about to start here in a few minutes. Like, it's fine. So we get back into the water because the race starts the long course starts at 9. So we get back into the water, we're waiting for it to start, and I'm literally just like chattering.
You were like shivering.
I think the coldest I've ever been in a swim run, Chipper.
Yeah, and I ran off because something I was trying to do is make sure I was keeping my fueling going. So I had caffeine gel and like half a bottle of some like sodium, PFH stuff to hit that down and hit a gel so I can kind of like keep the fuel train going. I was trying to stay on top of that. And I came back and like I had goosebumps on my arms. People were like, "Oh, you look cold." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's cold." And I looked at Chris and I'm like, "Well, he did not look."
I was not.
It was like he wasn't like a 10 out of 10 like golden retriever look to you or anything.
Yeah, it was serious. It was serious. Like, again, I fully own up to the fact that I'm not hardened for cold water. Same thing at Whistler.
I mean, it was like 58 or 57 or something.
It's like a dare to be great situation. And, I don't have fear of it because it's going to be fine. But that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt or it doesn't suck while you're in it. So those couple minutes waiting for the race to start,
And you're just in the water too. It's not helping anything. This happened to a lot of people. There were several people that we heard of and we had talked to that got pulled out because they got too cold on those swims. Yeah. That could be a 20, 30-minute swim.
I mean, I've never swam, Chipper, where I could feel like my butt cheeks like shivering while I was swimming.
In my thought, I was like, okay, it's cold, but I'm doing okay. But I look back at Chris and I'm like, I'm really going to have to go because I got to like get you swimming. So then I really shot off even more so than I normally do. And then I felt my like buoy get pulled back. I'm like, oh, he's like an iceberg back there.
He's got to warm up a little bit.
He's an iceberg back there.
Yeah. But I think, got through it. Honestly, I'm super proud of that swim because that was, again, to think that probably one of the more challenging swims we've ever done since maybe a couple of those at Casco 2018.
Yeah.
Or the last swim in Catalina 2020. Those were two
memorable,
extremely challenging.
The last Catalina swims has always been a challenging one.
Yeah, it was definitely character building in this way.
Now, I kind of felt like we deployed the same strategy that you would switch for the second one, which you did. And it's like, usually, Casco starts off feeling really cold. And then, by that second or third swim, you're like, oh, I'm used to this. This isn't a problem. Every swim you would get in, it would be like, I would get in and be like, woo! It's cold. Yeah. And you kind of have to deal with it again every, for the first 3 or 4 swims. Like it was.
Yeah. It was only once we got closer, like north of, like farther away from the dam where the water, like the northernmost swim, actually, that one felt really nice.
Yeah, it's very nice.
But so we kept alternating, fueling really well. I think it's a good place to talk about our nutrition strategy. Yeah. My plan was to basically try to take, a gel every 20 minutes until it was all done. Yep. I strategically deployed like my caffeine strategy. For this one, I took a caffeine gel before the start of the short course because I knew that you were going to be, full of piss and vinegar that first swim. So I wanted to make sure I kind of had a little extra boost. And then, and then I took another one sort of like halfway through the long course and pretty much held up to that, except I think like I was running, I was a little bit over my skis fitness wise in terms of pace. So there was one point where like, gel just sounded like the worst thing ever. So I basically skipped a dose. And then, so basically I went like 90, 60, and then 60, and then the race was over.
I was doing, at least 90 plus an hour, had the, CAF 30 PFH before, 15 before, like we always do. I had a 90 during the short course. And then I had one of these SIS Beta Fuel Lemon Lime. It has 200 milligrams of caffeine and 40 grams of carbs. So I had that in the middle of the races because, I was like, this is going to get me jacked up. So, and then I had another 90 and a 40, the Pagacha gel from, I mean, if it works for him, it'll work for me. Mango flavored. Oh, it's very tasty.
Yeah. And then hydration, because it was so cold, I certainly didn't feel super thirsty.
We did stop at a couple aid stations.
Yeah, we hit some aid stations to just get some fluid in just because it's proper procedure.
Yeah, so after the second swim, the third one, we kind of go back across. We had a longer 2.5 mile run, and that's kind of when I felt I started leading the runs, and that's when I was trying to, go a little bit more conservatively, and I was like feeling a little bit of tension in the tether, which is just why it's such a great tool to use. I didn't have to ask Chris every 2 seconds, how's this pace for you? How's this doing? I would check in verbally sometimes, but I could feel it. And so we just were, kind of trying to go whatever pace we were at. But I felt a little bit more than I had in the previous race. And I think that's probably when your missed gel probably kind of hit. Or if you're feeling a little bit lull, that's probably where it was.
Yeah.
And then we got kind of, maybe a mile from the swim and said, you want me to take this one? It wasn't the strategy that we agreed with because this was Chris's coming up, but we were deploying the actual strategy about let the person who needs to recover on the swim, and that's exactly what we did.
And basically, so I made the call. I was like, hey, Chipper, why don't you take this next swim? And again, like, you were good for it. Like you could have let every single problem.
You could have too,
But it's like, why don't you take this one? Just give me a little bit more chance to kind of get it back because I was punching a little bit above my weight class in terms of pace and everything, which is obviously it was fine. Still here, still among us, right?
Definitely.
And so having Chipper kind of like take that swim, and then I took one more swim, and then he ended up leading the last swim. That was exactly the type of spacing because that run was about 2 miles. Started getting warm, which felt nice. I didn't take my swim cap off, unzip like the whole time.
Yeah.
Did that swim and then started heading back south, essentially back.
I felt you had better pace there after the recovery on the swim, so it just worked out
for sure.
Great. And I remember we did the same thing at Lake Vos-Iver. I was leading a lot of the swims, but I started getting really hot on the runs, and Olivier had to take a couple of the swims. He banged out 2 or 3. I was able to get on my eating and get it back a little bit, and then I was able to get back in the mix. It just goes to show, like, you got to be, whatever your plan is, that's good, but be ready for adjuststance.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen.
I think going back to the beginning, this is where we've done so many activities together. There's so much trust and, sort of like brotherly affection for each other that it's kind of like, hey, I need some from you. This is what I got. And it's like, all right, well, no worries, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's good is being able to communicate that, obviously, but doing it in a way that's constructive, where it's like, all right, here's the plan. Let people know what's going on, and then just keep moving forward. And certainly, once we finished that second to there were 2 swims. So once we got to the second long run, like the last
we're back on the other side of the river.
Back on the other side, heading back south towards the start. I basically forced another gel down because I knew we basically had about like 20 minutes of activity left at that point. I'm like, let me just take this gel. Ironically, I had 1 gel in my suit. I was like, oh, I can't believe I had an extra gel. I forgot. I skipped a gel.
Was that a calf?
It was a calf gel.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's something I saw in the World Champs. I think it was Jenny Ramsey would put the gels like in her knee-high socks. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Just like pull them out right there. But I totally forgot to put one in there.
It's smart unless you forget that.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you outsmart yourself.
Yeah, so we finished the last long run, which I think was like 2 miles again, something like that.
Yeah, and you're running through this like, riverbed kind of rock. So it's you're out on these trails, and when it's 3:00 in the afternoon, it's definitely rattlesnake country out there for sure.
Dangerous stick territory for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So that run was no problem. Again, we've done this race so many times that we kind of knew where we were going, well marked, so it wasn't even an issue.
Clear, if there was a trail, they actually would run like a pink thing to block that trail off, so you would know it wasn't that. And when we would see some of these people at running these different aid stations at the intersections, we saw 4 or 5 times during the day. They saw us during the short course once or twice, and they saw us a couple times during the long course. So we were like, oh, see.
And again,
they're cheering us on and stuff.
Really
it's
well
great.
laid out where the aid stations are placed. You hit them multiple times.
It's
very straightforward.
This, in terms of like a swim run training ground, you could do hours of swim run. You could cut across as much as you. It's just there's just so much to do over there. It's
great.
It's a great little course situation.
It's a great, like you said, it's a great course for however much swim running you want to do. It's nice to do it in a race because you can get aid station support and all that stuff, and boat help if you need it. But yeah, you can just go out there and do major training. So I led that swim going in, and Chipper, this is
good line on that one.
This is just one where the way we were going every other one, like you had led this swim twice already, so this was going to be your 3rd time. And going in, you're like, hey, head to the left because there's a current. And that was just like, it wasn't a lot of information. It was just like just what I needed. It's like just aim towards the left of the thing. I'm like, you got it.
Well, because the first time we went in, I was like, I saw it, and then I had to really course correct back, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that current's really pushing hard. Then the second time, I'm like, okay, I did a little better, and the third time, I'm like, Chris, just like bang it way left because. Yeah, and you like it was the perfect line.
It
was such a good line.
I am super proud. Like, even getting out of that water, like there wasn't one extra stroke that was expended, sort of sighting this thing. So we got out of that. Then we essentially have 1 run left to the final swim, which again, this is a swim we've done like 4 times at this point, kind of thing. And that's the one that I'd basically been leading all day. So it was actually kind of cool. You got to lead that swim, brought us to the finish line. It was great. We ended up we were the first place team. I think we were 4th overall. There were 3 solo people ahead of us, including friends of ours that came out to do the race. Shout out Hunter and Haley, Team H2O. Who raced. They're doing Worlds, but they raced as solos for some reason.
To clean up on the trophies.
Yeah, for sure.
They each one of their own trophies.
Yeah, they're like just sweeping the podium spots. But yeah, it was a great race. Really just so much fun to, again, be out there with you, Chipper, and kind of go back to sort of classic Low Tide Boyz setup. I will say, I'm curious what you think on how the strategy worked out. Like, were you more, I mean, I was just sore because, I just haven't been training as hard.
Yeah, I felt it was good. It's the right move in the right direction. What I was kind of thinking during the race, it's like, oh, it's not necessarily switch off every one, but being okay to say, I need a break, and then getting that break. I think that's and that is going to mean you leading swims, which we used to do. We used to do that more often, then all of a sudden, I don't know what happened. I have fucking conned. Chris cons me into somehow just, hey, you're the swimmer guy. Even though he literally swims more than me, probably. Anyway. So, yeah, I think being okay to be like, hey, can you take this next one? I'll just say it to you. Or vice versa. If you're feeling like you're really kind of lugging me a little bit more on the tether, if you're in front, you could just offer or whatever. And I would probably, hey, no problem.
I think that's right. I think it's like, it was good to have a plan going in, and then, okay, then we'll just sort of like iterate off of the plan. So I think the plan was good. I think, like we always say, you can always swim and run faster.
Yeah.
Right. So let's just take that off the table. Yes, of course we could always swim and run faster, but given what we were able to put out there, certainly I think I was more of the limiting factor in terms of overall pace. But despite that, I think we moved well together.
Yep.
And I think,
it was a more the like how we, we both like F1, so this is going to sound F1, but like the way we kind of deployed our energy was very
deployed the battery.
Yeah, deployed the battery was very consistent.
Yeah.
As last year we were racing, I was kind of more in the front, like really off the front, I was doing the swims hard because we were trying to catch Hunter. He broke off and we're like, gotta chase this guy. And it was too much for me. And I could have used a swim to recover, and maybe I could have had more to give. So I think the right strategy, we're on the way there, but we kind of know what to do with swapping.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think it was a successful race.
Fun.
Awesome post-race experience. I mean, the swag is off the hook. The race experience is off the hook. Bill and the team at TBF Fitness. Yeah. I mean, they're just great. I just hope they keep putting on swim runs because it's such a fun race.
It was fun. And, there was a lot of people that got cold. I'm trying to think, Bill is certainly receptive to feedback. I'm trying to think, like, what do you think adding a little half-mile run before, like, start people up in the parking lot or take them back and have them run a little bit to kind of get them warmed up and then hit the water? Would that help? Or make the first swim a little shorter? I don't know, but it is tough, but it is.
It's a good point. I mean, part of me really likes the water start.
I do like it. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's a solid, like, it's a swim to start. Yeah, it's a solid swim.
Which I like.
Yeah, I like it.
Again, we want swim runs to be hard. We want them to be a challenge, and they're totally doable if you prepare, right? If you take it seriously, you can do any of these events. I like the challenge of the first swim. To your point, I do think that, like, even if it was like a quarter of a mile run, like leading into the swim, I think that would have done two things. One, it kind of helps to kind of see people going into that swim first. I think it just like makes it you can just get a little bit more heat in there if we're going in, like even half a mile would have been like perfect.
Yeah, something like that, and just maybe a little half-mile thing to get warmed up. Or you could just basically, instead of send them out on swim 1, so have them do that kind of short across the thing, which is probably more like a 400. But then you get out and you basically do a reverse like that, maybe, because then you're a little bit more warmed up.
Yeah.
It's another option, but anyway, amazing race.
One thing I was thinking is, like, in between the two races, I should have just been
running.
I should have gone for a run. Like, even like a little spry.
Some pickups or something.
Do some strides. Because we had 5 minutes.
Did you eat anything?
So I took a gel. And I took that based on friend of the show, Mario Feroli's advice of just like, hey, when you're cold, you need more fuel to stimulate thermogenesis to warm up. So I was mindful of that. So I was like, I just popped the gel. Basically, as soon as you walked off to take your gel, because you had it like stashed somewhere, and I just popped whatever I had and then threw it out. But I think running around would have been a smart thing to do.
I mean, you had the energy for it, sort of, but I think that could have helped things. But ultimately, not much was lost. But you were kind of telling me a little bit later, you almost felt like it kind of depleted, like it sucked your energy away.
Well, I think
and dealt with
maybe it's in my head, but I find shivering to just be like an extreme waste of energy. I mean, you're burning your energy to stay warm, and it's just like, well, if you don't have to do that, then you're saving that energy for running or swimming or whatever. So, maybe I got the, physiology wrong on this stuff. But so I find, and again, it might be in my head where like, okay, I'm leaching energy because I'm just sitting here wasting it on trying to stay warm kind of thing. So it definitely sapped me. And I think the other thought I had was I think that contributed to slight GI issues, which again, if it was a longer race and one where I would have taken it more seriously, I would have brought arm warmers, and usually for World Series races, I always bring like a ginger chew, which is, to me, it's like the cure-all for any sort of nausea, stomach stuff. Like, I would have just popped that right away. It also has some sugar, so it kind of like stimulates that system as well. But yeah, I just didn't bring one because I was like, oh, it's...
Friend of the show, Andy Blow, could probably definitely tell us if being cold, you should up your carb intake, probably. I'm sure they know the good folks over at Precision.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some formula depending on how cold you are. But yeah, in general, like if you're cold, if the race is cold, you need to consume more energy in order to help your body keep generating heat. Or also just slow down, because higher level priority is going to be you not getting like hypothermic or whatever.
Yeah. Heading, I guess, into final thoughts, or we didn't do the body-mind piece.
Yeah.
We can hit that now and then go into final thoughts. Sure. But body,
go for it.
I'll take it. Mind and body. Mind's feeling good. I was really excited to race. Had a good time. You know, we've been talking. We haven't been doing our normal training. We're still hanging out a lot together. Don't kid yourself, anybody. But not as much as we used to.
I know, it's crazy.
A 2-hour, car ride there, a 2-hour car ride back, and 13 miles of swim running was like a really fun day hanging out with Chris. So it warmed me up from that capacity. That was great. And then, and it's just fun. We like doing swim run and the community. I mean, we could have hung out there for another 30 minutes or an hour just chatting with folks about what they're doing next or their swim run experiences. It's just so great. And the body actually felt pretty good. So, after my vacation in France, like I definitely did a week of like no workouts, just walking all over the place. But was kind of when I came back, Coach Liz is like, yeah, we're getting back at it. And I'm like, oh, it's just kind of, I was doing it all. And I'm like, I know it'll come back, but it was kind of, when you feel sluggish, it's like my speed's not there. I'm feeling, slow moving, but, trusted the process. Boom, 2 or 3 weeks later, I was feeling pretty good. So the body's feeling like it was ready and good for it. So feeling happy about it.
That's good. Yeah, I was definitely sore the next day. Yeah. Body was a little rough, but it was also like, hey, that's what's going to be. Like, if you're going to put in a big effort without doing as much training as you'd like, you're going to be sore. But I felt good, back held up again, which is
most important.
Thank goodness for that. And then in terms of the mind, I think similar to you, Chipper, it's like, to keep bringing this up, it was cool to kind of enter the portal, right? And I think for us to enter the Swimrun portal, where we're kind of like unlocking our Swimrun flow state, it's such a natural thing. Like, you don't even have to force it. It's just, we just know it's going to happen as soon as it starts. Getting to the groove, we're moving well, we're communicating, we're transitioning well, still chatting people up and, dapping the volunteers and high-fiving people and like kissing babies and stuff. And it's great. It's great. So in that respect, it's always great to share the field of battle with you, such as it is. Always. And confidence is pretty high, given the recovery and everything. So I'm starting to feel really good about it.
Good. Nice. It's exciting. Yeah, we were definitely in the portal because a couple times during the race, some of these, the people of the Folsom and Greater Sacramento area don't see swim runners that often. And we were going through a station and someone's like, oh, that's not even fair. We had the tether on it. We just blew past the station, just went right into the swim. Yeah. They were like, oh my gosh, that's not even fair. But so many cool shout outs along the way on the course and everything. Yeah, it was such a great day. And
super fun.
We'll definitely be there next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, can't recommend it enough for anyone who's in the area, wants to, fly to Sacramento and take an Uber, do the race. You can fly in that morning and get it done. Super, super fun. Next up for the Low Tide Boyz, I am doing Mackinac in about a month with John Branderhorst, one half of the Concho Boys. We're racing, I think I can unveil that now, as Team Musubi and Mofongo. So he's Japanese, I'm Puerto Rican. There you go. You can Google it if you need to. Got logos made and everything.
Rice delicacies.
Yes.
As a delicacy, I don't think. Rice dishes.
Yeah, one is certainly a rice dish. Another one, rice is definitely part of it. As mofongo is like a fried plantain little.
But there's rice. I've had
sometimes, because you.
Okay, well that makes sense then.
Usually mine's filled with chicken, shrimp,
and so that'll be exciting. I know Mackinac. People have been telling us for years, such a great race. Go out there. You'll pack some fudge back for us here, but that'll be a good one. And it will be a good points scoring opportunity for us as we are attempting to qualify for Uttala 2026.
That's right.
Have some points for Catalina, and then kind of the rest of the year still a little bit TBD, but kind of firming up We have some exciting news about the Low Tide Boyz, but coming soon. We can't tell you.
Tell you in a couple weeks, but
It's looking like
we're definitely going to do Austin in November because that's just such a great way to close out the year. Maybe Colorado, TBD. Yeah. We'll see. But one thing that, because people have been asking us, is that we're actually not doing Casco this year. We're taking a year off from Casco. As much as we love that race, and we've done it 4 years in a row, 5 in total, we just had to take a break.
Yeah, just take a break on it. But it's going to be a blast.
It's an amazing race, and again, that's the race that really began our love affair with Swimrun, safe to say. There's the bib right there. And yeah, that place always has a special place in our heart. We're planning on going back next year, but we decided to take a break, given all of our summer travel that we've had this year and our young families. Yeah, it's important.
Definitely. But the Colorado race looks great. Austin will be a good time. Yeah, we'll be sure to let you know what's happening as the season continues to unfold. It's in full swing. There are races. Gothenburg was just this weekend as well. So, maybe we'll have some sort of race recap situation from Gothenburg, but there's Olin, the new race coming up. There's new races in Germany. The Swimrun World Championships coming up. Orcas, Casco. Oh, my word. Yeah, Swimrun's all over the place.
It's going to be great. It's great. Yeah, it's going to be great. Lots of swim running. We're in the thick of it. So make sure you stay tuned to our feed for memes, race stuff, other stuff. Content. Thank you for everyone who came out to the race. Thank you for all the volunteers and chatted with us afterwards. We really appreciate it. I think that's
so much love, so much Low Tide Boyz love and kudos. It totally warms us up, and it's just really awesome. So
that's what happens when you're a dynasty.
Dynasty. We four-peated the Folsom Swimrun. We did it. All right, we'll see you out there, folks.
That's it for this week's episode. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and leave a rating or review, since that's the best way to help other people discover the show and the sport of swimrun.
Check out our website, lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z, for swimrun resources, including gear guides, tips, how-to videos, and so much more. Make sure to check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, send us a DM or email us at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Riding Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun and other activities.
Lots of activities.
Lots of activities.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
Then a run.
And then a swim.
Then another run.
Then another swim.
Then run some more.
Just keep going.
Let's go.
And then stop at some point because,
And fuel. Don't forget to fuel.
Gotta fuel too.
Of course, yes.